Hello, everybody out there in Roblox and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today we're going to talk some more about The Housemaid. Okay, let's finish up this movie, man, because this has been a chore to get through this movie. It really has. Okay, I saw this movie in the theater, and I just like the whole time I was sitting there with my date in the theater, I was thinking to myself, how is this possible? Okay, how can you expect me to believe these circumstances? Okay, when a simple dose of logic, okay, a third grade level of consciousness, of understanding, could easily see through these situations that our protagonists find themselves in. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, this stuff would never happen in the real world. This movie would be brilliant if they had plausible explanations for the situations that we encounter in this movie. Okay, this is 2026. Okay, people think. Okay, we've got the technology. Okay, it's very simple to do a background check on someone, who you're considering hiring. Okay, you can't just grab a cell phone and automatically use it, someone else's cell phone, and use it. Okay, pretty much everybody has a PIN code they have to enter. Okay, or or a facial recognition or their fingerprint or something to access all the apps on their phone. Okay, just little things like that. You would never want to stay in a place that had one window that does not open, that you couldn't fit through anyway if it did open, that's soundproof and only has one door that's made of heavy oak that you could not break down if there was a fire, and it locks from the outside. Okay, that is ridiculous. Okay, nobody would stay in a room like that. Okay, I don't care what your background is. Okay, no one would live under those conditions because they're dangerous. Okay, nobody would work for a woman who mistreats you like from day one, spreads lies about you, gossip about you, threatens to fire you, disrespects you, insults you in front of other people. Okay, and humiliates you, and blames you for things you didn't do, and expect that employee to stay there. That employee would have left. Okay, I don't care what your background is. Okay, you cannot you cannot work in those situations. Okay, it is ridiculous. I don't care how bad you need a job. If we're at the heart of everything, we are all human beings, and we all deserve to be treated with a little bit of respect. And we know that. Most of us know that, especially in this part of the world, at least. Okay, we understand that. Okay, that we don't deserve to be treated that way. Okay, and no job is worth being treated that way. I don't care how much they were paying me. Okay, if the people I worked for treated me like absolute crap, spread rumors about me, lied about me, okay, made me pay for things that were not my fault, okay, I wouldn't stay there. I would not stay there. In fact, I would probably sue them. Okay, because you don't treat human beings that way. Okay, and we know this. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. You know this. Okay, nobody would put up with that. Okay, we know that you don't just like assault somebody because they're doing something crappy. Okay, for example, if you're in a conversation and somebody makes a joke about your mom or something, okay, if you're a man or a woman, do you automatically punch the guy? Do you automatically grab a bottle and hit him over the face with it? No, that's not the first thing you do. Okay, the first thing you do is, hey, don't talk about my mother that way. Okay, don't talk about my mother that way, or something along the line. Okay, that's inappropriate what you said. Something like that. That's the first thing you do. Okay, it shouldn't have to automatically go straight to violence. Okay, and if you've got this employer who is harassing his employees, the first thing you do is you tell them to stop. Okay? You tell them to stop. Okay? And if that doesn't work, then, you know, you got to escalate it. But the first thing you do is you try to de-escalate it. Okay? And if that doesn't work, you know, then you might have to get physical to get the guy off of the woman. Okay? But, you know, the scene that we have in this movie, the guy that's harassing his employee, he's doing it right there in front of everybody, in front of his own customers and his other employees. Okay? The first reaction to that is not to grab a bottle of tequila and hit him over the head with it. Okay? That's not what you do. Okay? You know, you get charged with that. And if you're an ex-con, guess what? That's a straight ticket right back to the pen. Okay, with an additional charge. You don't do that. Okay, this isn't a case of he was sexually assaulting her, you know, somewhere. Okay, you know, and no guy would do that in front of his own employees. That's ridiculous. Talk about losing your license, losing your business, lawsuits. Okay, you know, you can get charged criminally for that. I mean, that's just ridiculous that any owner would do that. If they were going to do that, they would do it behind closed doors, where it's your word against mine. You see what I mean? That's how a criminal would do that. But this movie depicts all these criminals as idiots. You see what I mean? Sydney Sweeney's character, Millie, okay, she murders a rapist in the middle of rape. Okay? Now, she did go too far, but for everyone involved to cover up the rape and make it look like that didn't happen is ridiculous. Okay? I can understand that the victim of the rape lied to the cops and said she wasn't raped, that Millie just came in and beat her boyfriend over the head to death. Okay, you know, that might be what, even though the evidence clearly shows that's not what happened. You know, how do you explain the dead boyfriend with his pants down to his ankles? Okay? How do you explain that? Okay, why would Millie why was the door unlocked? Okay, anybody could just walk in there and see it. It didn't have to be Millie, it could have been another student. Okay? It could have been a faculty member, it could have been anything. Okay, why would anyone want to rape a girl with the door open in her own room? You know, if he would prefer to do it in his preferred location, someplace that he controls the environment. You see what I mean? Okay, this is not realistic at all. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I'm saying it would not happen this way. Okay? And for everybody involved to automatically assume that Millie murdered this guy in cold blood for no reason, okay? That's ridiculous. Clearly, this woman was being sexually assaulted. Okay, you see what I mean? How do you cover? You can't cover that up. And no detective is going to walk in, no cop is going to look at this and go like, okay, yeah, it looks like first degree murder to me. Let's charge her. No, not at all. Okay, you know, Millie's claims have to be investigated because in America, you are innocent until proven guilty. So the cops have to at least rule out her explanation. Okay, they've got to debunk her claims before they can charge her. You see what I mean? And it'd be very easy to debunk this rape victim as claims. Okay, clearly there's a reason she doesn't want anyone to know she got sexually assaulted. There's a reason for that. Dig into that. It's clear, obviously, she was assaulted. You see what I mean? And what motivation would she have to lie about her roommate? You know, what the hell? This makes no sense. You got to give me a reason why her roommate would lie about it. They give us no reason. You see what I mean? Just stupid things like that. Okay, why would anyone want to work for a family where the housemaid is clearly attracted to the man of the house? Okay, she has fantasies about having sex with the husband. Okay, why would anyone work in those situations? Okay, especially when she's so scared to death of losing her job. Okay, she would never put herself in a position where she could easily lose her job. You see what I mean? It's just ridiculous. You know, the whole idea that Millie, the ex-con, so scared of losing her job as a housemaid that she will just capitulate to everything that Nina makes her do, okay, is also ridiculous. Okay? The fact that Nina treats her like total crap, why in the hell would Millie think that Nina is going to give her like a good review or something when she's done working there? Are you crazy? You know, what about Nina says, I'm going to be good to you if you do this? Nothing. Nothing at all. Okay? She has no reason to work there. The reason that the movie gives us, okay, does not hold up under a microscope. Okay, because no human being would put up with these conditions. This is not a third world country. Okay, Millie's not some illegal alien where she's got to make money to support her family because she has no ID, she has no social security card, nothing like that. No. Okay? You see what I mean? And that's what the movie doesn't address these things. Why would everybody just love the man of the house, Andrew Winchell, because he has a nice smile? Okay, that might work on the women, but what about the men that live in that neighborhood? Is that smile going to work on them? No, it's not. It's not. You see what I mean? And to the idea that all these husbands, these rich husbands that live in the same neighborhood are okay, they're okay with the idea of their wives hanging out with a woman who tried to murder her baby, who's been in a psychiatric hospital twice, okay, and that all their wives are attracted to her husband? You think the men in that neighborhood aren't going to say anything about that? You think they're going to go to his house for tea and socialize? Okay, this woman was accused of trying to murder her own baby. Okay, that is social suicide. Nobody's going to hang out in that house. You see what I mean? This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. These are the little things that this movie expects you to just believe. It's like they're offering you this like shit sandwich and they're expecting you to bite into it and bite into it again and then ask for more after when you're done with that one. Okay, I'm sorry, I ain't gonna do it. This movie has not convinced me that the events that are happening are plausible. It hasn't. Okay, and that's the biggest failure of this movie. It has nothing to do with the genre. Okay, it's a chick flick. That's what I do. I review chick flicks. Okay? Has nothing to do with that. Has everything to do with storytelling. This story is crap. And I can imagine that the woman that wrote it, Frida McFadden, or her real name, Sarah Cohn, okay? For a woman who's a doctor in real life, how can she write something this bad? Okay? These chick movies based on these chick books are all about evoking emotion out of you to get you to feel things. They want you to feel lust. They want you to feel happiness. They want you to feel, righteousness. They want you to feel anger. They want you to feel, victimized and scared. They want you to feel. This movie's all about, a roller coaster with your emotions, gaslighting your emotions so that you can enjoy the experience of watching the movie. You want to feel the victimization of Millie. Okay, and just like you want to feel, the fulfillment of revenge at the end. Here's the guy getting what he deserves finally. I get all that, okay? But if you're going to give us this emotional roller coaster, okay, you've got to add at least a little bit of logic into the story. You've got to make it make sense. Otherwise, it's just a fucking Saturday morning cartoon. You see what I mean? And this movie asks way too much. Way too much. Okay, the best movies convince you that you're in this alternate world. Okay, where things don't work the way they do in the real world. Okay, this movie takes place in the real world. This isn't Star Wars. This isn't Avengers Endgame. Okay, this ain't Narnia. Okay, this takes place in upstate New York. Okay, it's supposed to be in the real world. You see what I mean? But this movie doesn't act upon real life situations. It doesn't portray life realistically. It doesn't portray cops realistically. Okay? Or people realistically. So what is this? Okay? There's got to be stakes. In order for me to feel something, feel empathy for my main character, for my protagonist, I got to imagine that I'm living in their world. And I can't imagine I'm living in this world because this world doesn't fucking make sense. Okay? That's the problem I have with this movie. All right? Now, let's move on here. because we're almost done with it, thank God. Where we left off last time, okay, what do you call it? What's her name? Nina Winchester. She decided to come back to the house because all of a sudden she had, I guess, a moment of consciousness. And she realized that she left her housemaid that she tricked into working there. Okay, she left her there with her psychopathic, murderous husband, the one that she was trying to escape from. Okay, and because of that, she realized now that she's free with her daughter, that Millie's life is in danger. Okay, and that all of a sudden now she grew a conscience and realized, oh my God, maybe I was a bitch. Maybe I shouldn't have tricked this woman into working there. I shouldn't have gaslit her into seducing my husband. I shouldn't have trusted her, with my child and with my bank account and with my car. Okay, I shouldn't have done all these things because now that she has replaced me, now her life is in danger. Now I've just sentenced her to this horrible life that I was living. Okay, because I wanted out. Okay, that there's no way you can justify that. I can understand the desperation, but just because she did it does not automatically make her a good person. And just because she realized that she made the wrong choice in the third act does not make her a good person. Just because she went back to the house to try to save Millie does not make her a good person. For all she knows, Millie is already dead. Okay? Because she knows what her husband is capable of if he doesn't get his way. Okay? And the fact that it's alluded to that Nina, when she hired Millie, she did a background check. Unlike Andrew Winchester, who lets his housemaid stay there, okay, who has no idea what his housemaid went to prison for. Nina, that was the first thing she did, is she checked out this woman's prison record, and she found out that she was imprisoned, okay, on manslaughter charges for killing a rapist. Okay, now somehow Nina knew that rapist deserved it, okay, and that Millie was justified in what she did. But apparently the cops, when they arrested Millie for that, the cops, the other students, the faculty at her private school, the jury, the attorneys, the judge, none of them saw that though. They just they were going to charge her with first-degree murder, and she had to plead down to manslaughter. Okay? So everybody thought that she was guilty except for Millie herself. Millie's parents even thought she was guilty of first-degree murder. Everyone thought Millie was guilty except for Millie herself and Nina Winchester. So Nina thought, well, this woman knows what to do to rapists. So if Andrew tries to, torture her, she's more capable of taking care of Andrew than I am. Do you have any idea how stupid that sounds? But that's the excuse, that's the justification that Nina uses to hire Millie. Okay? And on the off chance that Millie will turn the tables and kill Andrew instead. A woman who's scared to death of going back to prison, okay, is going to automatically, kill a sexual predator, right? Well, actually, she is right, because that's what Millie does with her boss at the bar. Before she worked as a housemaid, she was working at the bar, and she saw her boss harassing a waitress, and she clocked him over the head with a bottle of tequila. And she didn't go back to prison. He didn't press charges. She did it in front of witnesses. There was plenty of customers there. There was a guy sitting at the bar drinking his beer 2 feet away. And yet nothing happened to her. She just left that. We don't know if she got, I'm assuming she got fired. Okay? But her parole officer didn't know that. And she immediately got a job as a housemaid. What the hell? This guy didn't even report her to her parole officer. Hey, she hit me over the head with a bottle of tequila? Are you crazy? This is the idiocy that this movie wants us to believe. This is why I'm talking about. This isn't the real world. Okay? These chick flicks, there's one thing I see in common with all these chick flicks is no accountability. Women, why are you so afraid of accountability? What is it that makes you run from it? I'm not just talking about the women that watch these movies. I'm talking about the women that write these movies, that make these movies. Why is accountability such a hard thing to understand? where every action, there's a reaction. That's one of Newton's laws of physics. Okay? You can't just do something without experiencing the consequences of that action, for good or bad. Why? Why is it that these chick flicks never want to deal with accountability? They never want to deal with consequences. They never want to deal with taking responsibility for your own actions. It's always about, oh, it's someone else's fault. It's the guy's fault. It's my financial circumstances' fault. Okay? It's always someone else's fault, usually a guy. How about just freaking, okay, I screwed up. At no point in this movie does Nina ever apologize to Millie for putting her in this situation. She just looks at her as a fellow boss bitch. And at no point does Millie hold any resentment towards Nina for putting her in this situation. Oh, we're just a couple of boss bitches. Yay, girl power. Are you fucking crazy? If another man had put me in a situation like that, okay, to seduce his psycho wife, and then she imprisons me and tortures me and tries to kill me, do you think I'm going to be buddy-buddy with this guy when I see him again? Knowing what he did to me? Even if he tells me he's sorry? At the minimum, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. Because I didn't deserve this. Okay, you see what I mean? But we can't have that. We can't have, a chick flick where a woman is the bad guy. You can't have that. Okay? Because it's a chick flick. It's feminism. The man has to be the bad guy. You see what I mean? That's the sexism right there. There is sexism in Hollywood, a shitload of it. But it's not misogyny. Misogynistic movies are not allowed to be made. You can't have like a Tony Soprano walking around, okay, beating up people, hitting women, cheating on his wife all the time, and then getting high fives for it at the end of the movie. You can't have a movie like that. Hollywood would never allow it in today's world. And it hasn't allowed it in at least 15 years. When was the last time you saw a man act like a fucking man? Or act like a bad man and get away with it? They can't make those movies anymore. Only women are allowed to act that way. Only women are allowed to do bad things and then get away with it in a movie. Only women are allowed to abuse men and get away with it in a movie. Andrew doesn't get away with anything in this movie. He pays for what he did. It's Nina that doesn't pay for shit. She walks away scot-free. And what does Millie get out of it? Nothing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. She gets some money. Sorry. She gets $100,000. Big fucking deal. Here, I'm sorry I almost killed you. That I left you with a fucking a misogynistic torturer, who tried to kill you. I'm sorry I put you in that situation. So here's $100,000, all is forgiven. And it doesn't work that way. That's not how real life works, okay? Not at all. If anything, Millie can sue Nina for more than $100,000 for Andrew's entire estate, okay? But we'll get to that. Okay, so we left off last time. There's Andrew. He escaped from the room that Millie had him imprisoned in. He beats the shit out of Nina, and then he chases Millie around the house. Millie escaped somehow. I don't know how. I mean, he grabbed her on the stairwell and was wrestling with her, but then she bit his arm, and then she punched him in the neck like 50 times because he let her do it. That's where she had stabbed him, but yeah, even though she stabbed him with like a cake cutter, a metal cake cutter, it's not gushing out blood. He hasn't bled to death or anything like that. I guess it just magically turned into a scratch, and she punches him there over and over again, and he's just like, okay, which allows her to run away. And then he gets up and chases her again. He can't find her. So he goes back upstairs. Now he's screaming for her. Millie! Where the fuck are you? He's got blood all over his face. He's missing a tooth. She forced him to pull out one of his teeth. Okay, he's got blood all over his wife beater that he wears 24/7. Okay, and then he goes upstairs. He climbs back up the stairs. He can't find Millie. And who does he see? There's his wife, Nina. Okay, who he just threw her down the stairs and was hitting her in the face, but now she's just standing there, just bored out of her mind, just looking down the down the stairwell, just hanging out, daydreaming, whatever. not acting like this man just tried to kill her and that he's about to fucking kill her right now. That this man is dangerous. Okay? He's going to kill her and Millie. Because now he knows that Nina purposely hired Millie, okay, to turn the tables on him and lock him in the attic room instead, okay? So he figured that out. That Nina set him up with Millie, okay? You see what I mean? But yet he has no thoughts of revenge, no thoughts of, I'm going to kill you for tricking me into falling for Millie. None of that. Because he's a man. That means he's stupid. Okay? He can't figure that out on his own. All right. So he tells her, he's starting to gaslight her now because, she doesn't act like she's in danger. She's just like, oh, hi, Andrew. I'm just going to stand here and just look at the house. That's all. It's not like my life's in danger or anything, It's not like, my daughter, will be devastated if I get murdered right now. That kind of thing. No sense of urgency, no sense of importance, nothing like that at all. Okay? That's the situation we're in here. Okay? So he goes up to her and he tells her, okay, I guess you came back for nothing, Nina. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I fucked up really, really bad, okay? I know I did. And you know that I am capable of admitting when I'm wrong. You know that. All right. So this is the part of the movie where we have to reaffirm Nina's self-esteem, because even though Nina's been a bitch for most of the movie, once we get her backstory, we realize why. Okay, she was gaslit, she was tricked and manipulated into marrying this man and living with him, only to find out later on, okay, that he's a psychopath. Okay, and so when she did try to escape, he doctored up some charges. He framed her. He made it look like she tried to murder her daughter, not his daughter, her daughter. Okay. And put her in the psychiatric hospital. Then when she tried to escape again, okay, he put her back in again. All right. So the whole neighborhood thinks that she's a psycho woman that tried to murder her daughter. Okay. We understand that this is why Nina had to keep it a secret. That's why she had to come up with a plan to outsmart Andrew. Okay. And her plan was to hire this desperate ex-con housemaid, hopefully to seduce her husband so that her husband will kick her out of the house, her and her daughter, and so that way they can escape. Okay? So you see, she treated Millie like absolute crap, okay? Not because she's a bad person, but because she had to do it in order to escape with her daughter. You see what I mean? That's how this movie's trying to frame it. She did terrible things to Millie, but that doesn't make her a bad person. See, because now you know why. Once again, no consequences for her actions. No accountability whatsoever. Okay? No, because Nina Winchester is played by Amanda Seyfried, okay? Who's the other lead. Okay, you got two leads in this movie. Okay, and you can't have either one of them be the bad guy, because that would be misogynistic. And this is a chick flick, so you're only allowed to be misandrist. Okay? Only men are evil and bad. Women, girl power. We're strong, tough. Don't need no man. You see what I mean? That's the fucking message here, okay? Women can't do anything wrong, but men do everything wrong. All right. So like I said, this is the part of the movie where we have to reaffirm Nina's self-esteem. This is done by Andrew groveling for her. Okay? Now, yes, he's a psychopath and he tortured Nina and he tortured Millie. But now that here is Nina, his wife, vulnerable, it's not like she's trying to run away or anything. Okay? He could easily just kill her right now, but he's not going to do that. Instead, he's basically going to get on his hands and knees and grovel and beg her forgiveness. Okay, I am so sorry. I need you so much, Nina. I can't live without you. Oh, God, I was so wrong for what I can't even live with myself. Please help me. You know, women, feminists love to do that. They love to show men weak and on their knees and groveling for some fucking bitch. Okay, because that makes the female feel better about herself. It also kind of like hypnotizes you into thinking that all men are this way. Okay, bull fucking shit we are. Bull fucking shit. Okay, there are some things in this world, okay, that are more valuable than just life or death. Okay, and one of those things are self-respect. Okay, at the end of the day, I gotta live with myself. I gotta live with myself. Okay? I cannot live with myself if I am the type of man that gets on his hands and knees, okay, and grovels in front of a woman. Now, I will do it if I legitimately did something wrong, okay? And I have done it before. I'm not saying I'm incapable of doing it or I've never done it, okay? But there may be a damn fucking good reason, okay? It's not my go-to move. You see what I mean? In these fucking chick flicks, that the men always do that. I saw The Bride recently. I mentioned that before in another video, okay? I saw The Bride. Okay, and one of the main male characters gets on his fucking hands and knees and begs the bride to forgive him. Please, I'm so sorry. And she's up here like threatening to kill him. He's like, no, please, here, kill me. Go ahead and kill me. I deserve it. I know I deserve it. I can't live with myself. I'm such a loser. Please forgive me. Ah. Like that. And that's basically what Andrew's doing here. Okay? Groveling. A guy who's this much of a narcissist would never grovel. Okay? That's not his character. That's not the kind of man that he is. He's a man who wants to maintain power. He's a man that wants to control. He wants to dominate. He doesn't want to be dominated. But these movies tell you that every man secretly deep down inside wants to be dominated. Okay? And the reason they do that is because deep down inside, that's what fucking women want. There's a reason that 50 Shades of Grey was a huge bestseller for many years. And it wasn't because guys were buying that fucking book. You see what I mean? You're treating the men like women. They're all about love and romance and falling in love. Oh, when I met Nina, I won the lottery. She's so great. She's a single mom and everything. Oh, that's what I needed was true love. And get the fuck out of here. These guys just want to fucking get laid. They just want to fuck as many hot women as they can. But you're not going to see that in a fucking movie. No, it's all about falling in love and romance. That's what women want. That's not what guys want. We do that because that's what you want. Get a woman to write a fucking man. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay, yes. So, yeah, this is all about Nina's self-esteem. Okay, this is done by Andrew groveling for her, thereby undoing the humiliation of him leaving her for a better-looking woman. That's true. Okay, on the surface, Andrew dumped her for a younger, better-looking woman, Millie. Okay, well, no feminist is going to stand for that in this movie. So this is the scene where he didn't fucking leave Nina because he found a better-looking woman, okay, or just a better woman in general. No, we can't have that. This is feminism. You see what I mean? So now she gets to reclaim her self-esteem. Okay? Now I do understand, okay, that the humiliation of Nina, Andrew leaving Nina for Millie. Okay, on the surface it's humiliation, but I know you're going to tell me right now, but it's explained. That's what Nina wanted. Nina wanted Andrew to leave her. That was her way out. She didn't want to leave Andrew. She needed to find a way to make Andrew kick her out. Okay, so I get that. I get that, okay? But you get that, and Nina gets that. But Andrew and Millie, they didn't know that. Millie legitimately thought that she had stolen Nina's husband away from her. Andrew legitimately thought, okay, that Millie would be a better partner than his wife. You see what I mean? They weren't in on it. So the bloody, toothless Andrew, he tells Nina, he's like, hey, let's sweep this under the rug, okay, and start again fresh. Pretend like this didn't happen, okay? Please, Nina, I'm sorry. I still love you. You're still the cute, helpless secretary I saw in an office, leaky boobs and all. So cute. Now Nina acts like she's considering his offer. Like, okay, he just fucking threw her down the stairs. Okay, like 2 minutes ago. What guy would think that she's just gonna forgive him for that right away? But he entertains the idea that maybe she is actually gonna forgive him. The fact that she planned this whole fucking thing means that she never ever was loyal to him or was obedient to him. She faked it. She faked it so she could bide her time to find a way to escape. Nothing he did in the years that he was married to her broke her. Nothing he did make her obey him. Nothing he did turned her into the woman that's subservient to him. She was always trying to fight back. She just did it in secret. And his dumbass never once figured out, oh my gosh, she tried to escape me? Well, I'm just going to punish her and then she won't feel that way anymore. Bull fucking shit! Anyone with half a brain would know that, but because Andrew is a man, he can't figure that out on his own. All right, anyway, so that's going on here. Nina acts like she's considering his offer. Obviously, she's not. Okay? You know, if this was the other way around, think about it. If this was the other way around, okay, a man wouldn't even pretend to consider this. Okay? If a woman had cheated on me, kicked me out for another guy, and abused me before that, lied about me, okay, and now that didn't work out with that guy, and now she wants me back, do you really think I'm gonna be like, really? You'll take me back? Are you out of your fucking mind? If this would have been the other way around, if it was an evil woman pleading for her husband to come back to her, okay, the men would have laughed this movie out of the fucking theater. Anyway, Andrew says, you know, I just tried to help you bring that baby who has no future at all, who had no future at all. I mean, because she was a single mom when he married her. I just tried to help you bring that baby who had no future at all into the world. What are you going to do out there, Nina? You can't find a high-value guy like this. At your age? I don't think so, babe. Well, you know, that's probably true, unfortunately. Okay? Now, I know because it's the evil guy saying this that, you know, you automatically don't trust what he's saying, even though what he's saying is kind of true. Okay? She is a single mom. And it's a chick flick, so single moms rule. They always get the highest value men, okay? But that's because this is a bullshit movie, okay? In real life, it don't really work that way, okay? I'm sorry to say this, ladies, but I give you a straight man's point of view. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Single moms, okay? Most of the guys that date you, okay? I know it's going to hurt your feelings, okay? But it's fucking true, okay? Most of the guys that are going to date you are going to see you as a pump and dump, okay? A pump and dump. I'm sorry to say this to you, okay? It's freaking true. Okay, it's like a guy, you know, a woman who's average-looking woman who's dating a guy that lives in his mom's basement, okay, and plays video games and works at McDonald's, okay? If she does have sex with him, more than likely it's going to be a one-time thing, and she ain't going to tell anyone about it, okay? Because, you know, that's not really what the average woman is looking for in a man. You see what I mean? I'm not saying desperate woman, I'm saying average woman. You see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry, okay? God bless you single moms out there, okay? But you got to realize, okay? You're bringing baggage, okay? Why should a guy who has no kids of his own, okay, want to take on your baggage? Why would he want to do that? You see what I mean? The fact that the father of Nina's kid is a law school professor, and that she never once thought about suing him for child support, or suing the university, because all she had to do was say that the professor forced her to have sex with him, or else he would have failed her in her class. You see what I mean? This movie wants you to be stupid. Nobody considered that at all. Although in real life, that's exactly what would happen, especially a woman who is desperate for money to take care of her fucking kid. You see what I mean? All right, so he tells her, you're not going to find anyone better than me, not at your age, you know? So why the fuck did you marry her then? You know, Andrew keeps talking about how he wants to have the same amount of kids as a freaking soccer team. He said that to Millie. Then why the fuck would you wife up a woman who's in her fucking late 30s? Number one. Why don't you just get a younger woman? Okay, I'm talking like 18, 19 years old. Okay? Who grew up poor or something, and now you're rich, and you're just showing her this whole world that she never would have experienced on her own. And she'll be stuck on you like stink on shit. She will do whatever you fucking say because she knows she can't get better. And the fact that she's young means that she'll produce you a shitload of children. Okay? Not a kid that was fathered by another man. Your kids. Your kids. A guy like this, if that's what he wants, that's more likely what he would do. He wouldn't fucking wife up a single mom. You see what I mean? This writer does not understand men at all. Okay? But it loves to write to us as bad guys, but they don't understand how we fucking think. Anyway, so Andrew says, one call and Millie is back in prison. Riding away. 1 week on your own and you'll be begging me to take you back. You will receive my fortune. You know, by the way, I know you'll receive my fortune once I'm dead. So just stay, please. Okay, he didn't say that, okay? But why would a fucking guy like this, who's got an ironclad prenup so that if Nina were to divorce him, she would get nothing, but yet he left everything he has, his entire fortune, he left it to her. Make that make sense. Oh, but by the way, Nina, if you murder me, you get my entire fortune. Wouldn't it have been easier for her to get fucking Mr. fucking Ice Baby, the groundsman, Enzo? Wouldn't it have been easier just to get his illegal ass to fucking have Andrew murdered? You see what I mean? And that way, you don't have to deal with Andrew anymore and you get all the money instead of having to fucking manipulate and torture an innocent young woman, you know, in order to get your husband to leave you for her. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know? So Nina's like, you know, number one, Andrew, everything you have is a lie. Your daddy just handed you your career. You were born rich. You didn't have to earn all your money. It was just given to you. Yeah, you know what? That's called nepotism. That's called Hollywood. Okay? Exactly. Look at all these actors out there that are children of movie stars. The Jack Quaids, okay? The Lily Rose Depps, okay? Do you think they fucking earned their spot? Okay, hell no, okay? Their last name got them where they are, or at least got them to the front of the fucking line in the casting office. You see what I mean? Yes, people do that all the time. They use their own connections to get ahead, okay? That's why Hollywood is so secular, because they don't really let in outsiders. Okay? Number two, your child isn't even really yours. Okay? Yep. Okay, this movie was written by a lesbian. Okay, your child isn't even really yours. In other words, he treated her daughter, Cece, as if that was his own biological daughter, even though it's not. Well, of course it's not. You were a fucking single mom when he fucking wiped you up. Okay? So how is that a flex against him? And number three, you have a wife who fucking hates you. For years, I have watched you dance like a clown just to get a tiny bit of affection from your cunt of a mother. I almost feel sorry for you. Okay, now this is the part where Nina gets to display her boss bitchiness. Okay? And completely emasculate Andrew. Okay? This is the part where she gets to dress him down. Verbally, of course. Okay, now Millie did it earlier. Okay, because boss bitches rule. You see what I mean? Okay, this is a feminist movie, so there has to be scenes where the women completely emasculate the men. Okay, completely ruin their self-esteem. Make them feel like they're this big. Okay, that's every fucking chick flick. All right, and this is the scene where that happens. All right. So Nina says like, but I'd rather be dead than spend another day with you. You're a fucking monster. Okay, now she's saying all this shit. Okay, all this fucking boss bitchiness, all this fucking indignant attitude that she has, this self-righteous attitude that she has. She's saying all this as if she has some sort of power over Andrew. No, bitch, he weighs about 150 pounds more than you do and is about 6 inches taller than you, okay? He can easily fucking kill you right now. And your go-to move is to fucking dress him down and insult him? Now, I know that Millie's about to jump in and save her, but Nina didn't know that. Her words are going to get her fucking killed by this psycho of a man. And she's not even scared. She doesn't even think about her fucking daughter, who's going to be a fucking orphan now. Just so she can stick it to him. That's the most important thing in these movies. Not whether or not you're going to live or die, but whether you stick it to the guy and really hurt his feelings. You know, so he tells her, I'd rather die, you're a fucking monster. And he's like, it would be a pleasure. And he runs towards her, okay? He's about to throw her off the balcony, okay? But he rushes to push Nina off the stairway balcony, but all of a sudden, Nina, I guess she has super speeder, so she immediately dodges it. Okay? I guess she knew that she could dodge it. Even though she has no martial arts training at all, she knew how to dodge this attack. Anyway. And guess what? At this moment, Millie teleports into the stairway, okay? Why did she teleport? Why did I say she teleported? Because if she had walked up the stairway or run, Andrew would have hurt her. But he didn't. So the only explanation for that is that she would already be upstairs, which she's not, because he was downstairs. He would have seen her go up ahead of him, okay? So which means that she magically appeared up there on the 4th floor of the house, sneaking in behind Andrew. So she must have teleported. That's the only explanation. She teleported right behind Andrew. That's why Nina and Andrew both did not see her coming or hear her. Okay? But there she is right there, just a couple of inches away from Andrew. Okay? I guess she had ninja skills or some shit, all right? She must have learned that in prison. Okay? And Millie says, the pleasure's all mine. Okay? And she pushes Andrew off the balcony, okay? Because unlike Nina, Andrew does not have superhuman speed where he can just superhumanly dodge, okay, a 90-pound woman's rush against him. Okay, no, he can't do that. He doesn't have that ability that Nina has, okay? He wasn't hit by a bolt of fucking lightning while being doused with chemicals. So he does not have superhuman speed the way Nina does. And so he immediately falls over the balcony, okay? Yeah, okay. He hits several stairs on the way down, okay, and then he lands dead, okay? So yes, Millie killed him, okay? So I'm going to stop my review right here. The next video I do, this one went pretty long. The next video I do, okay, we are going to end this fucking movie, all right? I thank you very much for watching this long. Before I leave, just so you know, this here, okay, Diego Knows and Knows Diego, okay, that's my X account. This video will also be on X. And Diego de la Vega Knows, that is my Rumble. That's my Rumble. This video will also be on Rumble. I post everything there as well. Because you know how YouTube is, you know, they don't like anyone that doesn't vote the way they do. Okay? All right, thank you very much for watching this long, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.